Hello, welcome everybody back to another episode of the SVT Sports Podcast. I am Vince in the driver's seat today with Tyler.
What's up, man?
Hey. Sam stepped away for just a hot second, but he'll be back on shortly. We also happen to have Tim, our new amigo, hanging out. How's it going, Tim?
Hey, going good. Glad to be back.
Right on. Welcome back. Go ahead.
So, Tim, I heard that you watched like 400 hours of sports this past weekend. So you're gonna basically fill us in with all the facts and information.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I discovered this thing a long time ago, which was like it was a watch that could stop time. And so nice. I totally caught up on the last like 100 years of sports. Like excellent. I am now the expert on the sports.
Cool, excellent. I have some questions about the 1935 World Series for you. No.
I kind of skipped over that. There were a few years that I was like, I don't need to cover that. Of course.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally get that. All right. Okay, so enough happy stuff. Let's dive into some sad stuff real quick. We're going to start with Brittney Griner, who was found guilty of illegal drug possession and smuggling and was sentenced to 9 years. And basically, I mean, we've seen other comparisons to like people have put on Twitter, other comparisons, like some random white girl that nobody knows got like a warning, a slap on the wrist in like a month or something, and was immediately sent back to America. And I mean, there's a bunch of situations like that, and it's really unfortunate that Britney is being used as a political pawn right now. That's exactly what it is. And right now, it sounds like the State Department is hoping to do like a prisoner swap with her and one other guy for two basically war criminals. I don't know what exactly those guys did, but yeah, it's not a good look. Either way, I mean, we need to get her home, but some bad dudes are gonna be released in exchange for her probably, and it's not equal, but it has to be done, I think.
And according to Russian law, and I do that with quotations, according to Russian law here, that if you're found with 9 grams of cannabis or less, it's I think it was like 9 days or 10 days in jail. And if you're found with 6 grams or less of oil, cannabis oil, it was the same fine or 10 days in jail, which Brittney Griner had less than a gram of oil on her. So it's clearly, obviously, to your point, Vince, a political statement at this point. Russia's not even going by their own bylaws. They're just using this as an unfortunate event to be able to make a statement that we want to get some of our guys out. We'll give you a couple of your people back. And yeah, it sucks, man. I think when you and I talked about this, about Brittney Griner, we were, I guess, I didn't know the whole truth, and I do this a lot, and I should probably stop and like read more information, but I was definitely one of those people that said, I was like, oh man, how stupid of her to do that, and in reality, if you think about it, like she was there because WNBA doesn't pay their players enough, and she was there in the off season to make some extra cash to be able to live with her and her family and her wife and everything of that nature. So, yeah, that's super unfortunate. I mean, I hope we can get her back safely. I mean, if it comes down to doing a war criminal deal, I mean, that's such a shit deal, but you got to do what you got to do, man. But let's not make her a poster child of how bad Russia is just because, they're just terrible people.
Yeah. Well, Putin's a son of a bitch. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. So does this relate to, the drug scandal, the drug testing scandal in the Olympics? Like, is Russia somehow using this as an opportunity to say the United States is like just as guilty of this as we are?
No, because those are performance enhancing drugs, and this is like a little bit of hashish oil, so it's totally different. So yeah.
Okay, because they could frame it in that way where they're just like, "Hey, look, it's drugs." It's like it doesn't matter what substance it is. It's like it's a drug. We consider it a drug,
Right, and I mean, the only way, like to paraphrase the great Robin Williams, the only way it's a performance enhancing drug is if there's a big fucking Hershey bar at the end of the court, like.
That would enhance, yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way. But Yeah, so this situation sucks, and we hope she's able to get home safely soon and back to her wife. And a side note, she can't even really talk about her wife because Russia's strict anti-LGBTQ laws in place. So that's just a whole other can of worms that is it's just shit on top of shit on top of shit in this whole shit situation sandwich.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of layers here, and it's like if it, like you said, if it was like a white girl, that it might be a completely different story, or it might have been covered in a different way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, but yeah. Oh, okay, that feels gross. Let's talk about something that's whimsical but still kind of weird and odd.
This is still kind of gross too.
It's still a little gross, but it's a different kind of gross. It's not war crime gross. It's Kevin Durant's ultimatum. This broke earlier today that he's basically demanded that the Nets fire head coach Steve Nash and general manager Sean Marks, or to trade him. And he told that to the owner, and the owner was like in London, so they did it like over a teleconference or whatever.
So you tell me that we went from like hash oil to like a snake getting out of its old skin to its new skin is what you're trying to tell me?
I do not want to bash Kevin Durant as much as possible. Like I still respect his talent and his ability to, change a game, but also this is kind of not awesome looking for him. So I mean, I'm probably one of the few guys that is not trying to get hit up by his burner Twitter accounts right now.
all 17 of them.
Yeah. I'm not trying to like get on the bad side of this right now of his thing. But to be fair, when you say fire the head coach and the general manager because I don't like the direction of this team or trade me, well, one way to look at it is he's opened up the window to staying. Because before it was just trade me. Now it's like, if you want me to stay, this is how you get rid of. This is how you make it happen. Although that feels extreme, especially
it feels
late in the game.
Lightweight, like LeBron James with David Blatt. That's kind of what it feels like. And David Blatt got fired midway through the season. I mean, they were underperforming.
Yeah, that's when Ty Lue took over.
Yeah, and I mean, they were underperforming, but to be fair, it's not like David Blatt had the morale of the locker room. It was more like LeBron James locker room, So it's what it kind of feels like. I think that's unfortunate because I don't think Steve Nash is a bad coach, nor do I think he's a great coach. People who thought he was like the next coming of Steve Kerr, because he just seemed to follow the footsteps of Steve Kerr and Pop and that kind of coaching tree. I don't think that's necessarily true. He didn't really come straight from Pop, and I think Steve Kerr's. I think we underestimate him quite a bit as a coach, especially this season. Should explain a lot. But yeah, no, I definitely feel that Kevin Durant giving an ultimatum like this, it's kind of a shitty thing to do. I think if anything, it just goes to show you how dysfunctional the Nets really are. And 2 years ago, including this year when they made the playoffs, actually, it was just a complete fluke at this point that they were able to even stay together for this long.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how this shakes down. Obviously, this is something that broke today. We are recording Monday afternoon, early evening. So plenty of time for this to get more and more exciting as we go through the week, and we'll have an update for you next week on how this ends up turning out. Hopefully, if it ends.
I know that Toronto's still a top team. I don't know why.
Right. I mean, I think they're just highly interested. Boston, Toronto, Miami, those are your top contenders, according to Shams Carmina on The Athletic. Boston had that trade package in place that involved Jaylen Brown, I think. And that was kind of pissing off Jaylen Brown a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown's gone after his contract is up in like 2 years, but I think that was in place, and then they ended up getting Brogdon instead from Indiana. So that KD thing went out the window. I still think it's out the window at this point, unless they're willing to trade though you can't trade Brogdon because they just signed him. So I guess in this case they would have to. I mean, I guess they could do a sign-in trade. I don't know. It gets sticky. Let's just say I don't think Boston's in play. If Toronto's still in play, great. I don't know what they have. And the reason why I don't think Miami's in play is because Katie wants to go there if only like 4 of the players are still there, which those 4 players that he want are all the top value players as far as money asset goes. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out.
That's not going to, I don't think that's going to fly. And I mean, we'll just have to see if these guys don't get fired and they don't trade Kevin Durant, what happens next? Is he going to hold out of camp? Is, how is this going to go down from there?
Can you imagine?
It's going to be so awkward.
Back-to-back years with players holding out because of certain reasons, obviously Kyrie because of COVID reasons, and then Kevin Durant the following year. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that reminds me. It was just announced earlier today as well. I don't even have this in the show doc. I just thrown this out there. The NBA is officially still maintaining that rule that to play in Toronto, in Canada, you have to be vaccinated, or you have to have a medical reason for not doing it, not a religious reason, or none of those exemptions. So Kyrie is not going to be able to play in Toronto this coming year, and whoever else. And I imagine that rule is also going to be in place for the NHL, but the NHL in like their entire league, I think there were 5 dudes who weren't vaccinated the entire year. So, yeah. I mean, much less of a problem. Those teams are a lot bigger too. You're looking at 23 guys on the active roster versus the 15.
A lot of those guys too also play in international in the off season as well. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of COVID reasons that they need to be vaccinated to go play overseas as well too.
Oh,
so
yeah, totally. Yeah, you get in your World Junior tournaments and things like that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, makes sense. But hey, nostalgic coming back. I think you just put this here.
Yeah, I just thought about it now. The Warriors turn into the local team. Our boys are going to be donning the RUN-TMC jerseys off and on throughout this next upcoming year. They actually had Chris Mullin put on a little chain in his glasses, and it looked ridiculous.
It was such an awkward commercial.
It's so weird, but I love it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to see those jerseys back this year.
You also get Cal and Michigan State jerseys.
That's true.
I mean, Michigan.
Yeah, the Michigan,
sorry. Please don't murder me.
Yeah, not Sparty. Yeah.
I just want us to wear those jerseys when Jaylen Brown comes in town. Maybe we can, stir up some like PTSD of how bad that Cal team was, and he was like subpar.
Yeah, we'll see. Could be fun. Poke the bear a little bit.
What's funny is
poke the golden bear.
Yeah, right. I find that some friends actually don't really want the RUN-TMC jerseys back. Like, they just like the nostalgic of the original RUN-TMC, and they don't want to see new players' names on it. I'm intrigued and wondering what other people think too. So maybe we should throw out a Twitter poll too.
Maybe, but I mean, I'll tell you one thing. They've brought back almost every other era. Why not the RUN-TMC? That's the only one that they haven't hit in recent years at this point. So,
I mean, I'll take it over those ugly, I don't know, rainbowish white uniforms that they had a couple years back. I think in the bubble.
Yeah,
those were horrible.
Yeah, what was that? Oh, that's the thing, that they put out so many jerseys every year. The NBA does a really good job of that. So, yeah, I mean, it also makes me wonder what other jerseys are going to be debuted. Like you said,
Detroit.
We have the call. Oh, Detroit's going back to those the teal ones from the.
I love those. I want those.
I love the color teal. If it was like that's what I love, is I love the color teal. Like, honestly, I don't think the jerseys look all that great except for there's teal on it, and that's what makes it look great, because teal is an awesome color.
I agree with that.
Yeah. If it was any other color besides teal, I think those jerseys are heinous. But the teal helps. The teal helps a lot.
I might have to cop me a Detroit jersey.
I'm not
a Ben Wallace jersey.
Have at it, man. You're Good luck with that. You're trying to buy. You're trying to plan a wedding, aren't you? You got to save a little bit of cash. I don't think you can buy every jersey.
This is
as
true. This is true.
As someone who just spent an inordinate amount of money, just too much money on a wedding, like yeah. Don't buy the Detroit jersey. Just save your ducats, man.
I said I was thinking about naming our fantasy football league Vince's GoFundMe wedding debt fund.
So
all right.
Is it to the point where they're releasing a jersey every year? Because like, I mean, back when I was growing up, it seemed like the jersey was the jersey, and maybe they changed it up every once in a while. But it like,
well, yeah. Every year they do like there's probably like 4 or 5 alternate jerseys that the NBA does, where they it's like honoring a past team, or they're the Warriors had like the Chinese New Year ones, and like so they wore like these Chinese inspired jerseys.
Wow. Don't forget, the Warriors are going to get a Christmas uni this year too.
Oh, that's right. Yep. They play on Christmas Day. You get a special uniform as well.
Man, it's kind of. I mean, is this like a cash grab or something where they're like, yeah, just
keep 100%, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
I just want to make sure that, like, it's like, yeah, that seems excessive, guys. But
as long as it looks good, yeah, as long as it looks good, man.
If Nike's gonna put up the money to be the forefront of the jerseys, you damn right they're gonna grab any single penny they can get from fans, every single penny. And I might buy a Christmas uni. Who knows? Yeah, I might buy one.
There you go. If it's cool, it'll sell.
Yeah, it's true.
Sam, what do you think about the RUN-TMC jerseys coming back?
I'm okay with that. It's the those UC Berkeley jerseys. I was not a fan of.
Right. Yeah.
Christmas jersey, I got to see it. And Nike, as soon as Nike got the rights to the jerseys in the NBA, we knew this was going to happen. And, Nike now has the rights in the MLB to do their jersey, and we're starting to see the City Connect jerseys in MLB. They don't make those jerseys for all MLB teams, kind of like only the good teams. So that's why the A's don't have one right now.
Yeah. The A's do have the super clean Kelly Green jersey though. So
it's true. Well, I mean, even look at when Nike pretty much controlled all of Oregon's football team uniforms. Look how many helmets they have and how many uniforms they have.
They're actually uniform.
Pretty good.
It was a new uniform every game. And yes, yeah, most of them I say like look pretty good. I mean, Nike University really had some cool designs.
Yeah. Big fan. All right. It's almost time. We got about a month left. Have you been doing your mock draft boards, and is everyone doing this? I'm sure everyone here's done about 5 of them already,
Yeah.
I haven't done one. I haven't done one at all.
I've actually probably done I've probably done about 10 mock drafts or so. Because I'm in a couple of different leagues, so I try to, like test for different things, what's going to be available with a 10-teamer versus an 8-teamer versus a 12 or whatever. But yeah, so we're talking football for those of you who haven't figured it out yet. The season is upon us, and we've had some mini camp fights break out. We've had injuries. It's basically landmine season. Every day there's going to be some alert. Oh, this guy tweaked a hammy. Oh, or this guy he's limping. He's got a leg thing, or he went down funny on his arm. And I mean, so every day there's a new injury coming across the little updates I get. So it's training camp season, guys. These are tis the season.
I mean, how do you guys feel about it? I mean, do you think it's good, bad for the team? You think it's distracting? You think they shouldn't have fights in them like this? I mean, one guy had 3 fights in one game or one practice and got kicked out of practice, and then there was another fight today.
This is the 49ers, right? Like,
just in general, there's been tons of fights across the league in mini camps.
Yeah. There was the Fred Warner, Brandon Ayuk little kerfuffle last week.
I've heard it quite a bit coming out of the 49ers camp. I mean, I don't know. I don't really think it's gonna destroy a team. I mean, if they're that fragile, then you didn't really have that great of a culture to begin with. If that's gonna implode your team, that scrimmages and practices are getting so rough that that creates a locker room problem, then that team probably wasn't going to be very good anyway. I don't want to say I like it. You kind of want to have some camaraderie and but at the same time, you want to have some competition. I mean, punching each other. I know Shanahan had a kind of shut down practice, and everybody had to take a knee, and he had some words, whatever. Hopefully they can use it as a moment to come together for that team. But it is what it is. I ain't got a problem with it. I don't think it's going to tear a team apart personally.
Yeah.
I don't either. But if you're having 3 fights in one day, okay. And I mean, I'm calling practice. Sorry. This is ridiculous. I'm pulling you in. I'm pulling the team in. This is absurd. Come on, guys.
Strikeout rules. 3 fights and you're out.
Yeah. We're working on things here. I want the emotion. I want the fire. I want the passion. But I don't need 3 fights, especially because we're playing together. Come on, guys.
It's early in training camp. I mean, you hope that these guys can, they'll put it behind them. They'll work together. They'll grow as humans, and they'll hold pinkies as they go have dinner. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens going forward. So Sam, your boys were playing on this past Thursday in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
How much of it did you watch, and what did you like? What did you not like?
I watched the first half. I was impressed. The Jaguars ran out pretty much their starting defense and starting offense. So did the Raiders outside of the quarterbacks. We saw pretty much starters. Jacobs for the Raiders looked really good. He's playing for a contract. There's rumors that he might get traded. Josh McDaniels came out today and adamantly said that he's not going to get traded. So I think they declined that player option or a team option to bring him back next year to kind of, he's had some injury problems. He's extremely talented, but he's had some injury problems. So I think they kind of did that hoping that he'll play his way into a new contract. I think offensively, what I'm excited for is I think Derek Carr's a good quarterback. He's obviously not an Aaron Rodgers at this point. You win a Super Bowl, the narrative changes, right? I think he's a really good quarterback. You guys know my issues that I have, especially with these fumbles. That's the major gripe I have. But you added Devontae Adams. You have a good wide receiver core. This may be the best collective running backs that Josh McDaniels has had in an offensive system. Even with, New England's have always had a good running game. They've had a 1A running back, but the drop off to the number 2 and number 3 running back, they've kind of had specialty backs. They got a legitimate stable of running backs, and their rookie looks really good. They're deep. They're offensively deep. Some of the draft picks that they had this year for the offensive line look really good. I think the information that's being installed as an offensive scheme looks advanced. They look like they're on the same page. I can't wait to see it with Derek Carr. Defensively, their defense, the scheme just looks more advanced. It looks like they're actually, doing something. There's movement, there's communication. They look like a professional defense, where in years past, how often was it just like the defense was just constantly getting beat? So I think that was like one of the number one things I took, was that the defense was making adjustments. The defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, he may only be there 1 year, because there's already a lot of talk that he was, he's a potential head coaching candidate. So when they hired him, there was already rumors that he's going to only be here 1 or 2 seasons, because he is going to be a head coach at some point, which I would love to have him here. But if he can help us become a top 5 defense in the next 1 to 2 seasons, that would be amazing. The thing that is really most impressive to me about the whole team was they just looked disciplined. They played fast. It's only a preseason game. But like I said, there were starters playing starters. It wasn't a bunch of scrubs. So I was impressed with them, but we'll see how it goes. I'm just glad that football is back. I'm ready to see the other teams. I'm ready to jump into the season, but I was definitely impressed.
Right on. You got anything, Tyler?
No, I mean, it was great. I kind of ruled out Jacobs as one of my maybe second or third round pick in my draft, but he may have solidified himself in a second round if he comes my way. So no, I did want to point out that.
Please do that. Please.
Yeah, he might. Well, it depends on where I draft. If I'm really low on the pecking order, the good running backs are going to be gone. So there's not going to be much left. That's always been the biggest issue when you play fantasy is good running backs are gone. Good quarterbacks are gone. Good luck. Pretty much.
We'll see.
But that because I do want to point out a funny story that Hunter Renfrow is no longer allowed to call Ubers for the team anymore.
He got kicked out. He got banned.
Oh, really? What happened? What did he do?
They went to go to Topgolf. It was Devontae Adams' car. I forget who the other kid is. I think it was like the rookie running back or something like that. And then also Hunter Renfrow. Hunter called an Uber for guys that are clearly all over 6 feet tall. And they look like if they got into a car accident, you were losing all of the star players. Their knees were touching their chins inside of this car.
Oh, no.
He called like a regular Uber.
He didn't go XL?
He
skimped out?
Yeah.
He skimped out the extra $4?
Have you guys seen some interviews with Hunter Renfrow? This guy is like goofy. Like it's like me being in the NFL. Like this guy does not look like a professional athlete. Like there's some current interviews he's just done in the past like 2-3 weeks and physically does not look like an athlete. He does not look chiseled. He doesn't look buff. He really looks like a dude off the street.
Minus the hair loss that's clearly evidently happening.
Dude, but he's a goofball. Like he's doing interviews and he just kind of goes along with it. Clearly he's become a fan favorite with the third and Renfro and his personality and his kind of all shucks personality. But he is a hell of a wide receiver, and Devontae Adams, pretty much anybody playing next to that guy is going to be the number 2 option. But I mean, Hunter Renfrow was really good last year. Darren Waller, now Devontae Adams. I'm super juiced for this wide receiver core.
I tell you, I'm thinking about it. Josh McDaniels was the offensive coordinator in New England when Randy Moss was putting up 47 tugs in 3 years, including that 23 touchdown season. And Wes Welker, I think it was Wes Welker. Mm-hmm. He was the scrawny white guy that was running the slants and stuff the entire time. He was a relevant player as well. So you got Hunter Renfrow, and obviously Devontae Adams is a true number 1 caliber wide receiver. So it could be a lot of fun watching this Raiders team.
So I want to tease something to Vince here. So Matthew Stafford has come out, and I guess he did some throws and he looked okay, but they're saying that he basically has a baseball type elbow injury. To me, that tells me one thing, that he could possibly be getting a Tommy John surgery, which all I'm saying is that if he's out because he has to get an elbow surgery and the 49ers release Jimmy G, is he going to LA?
If LA ends up needing a quarterback, that would probably be Jimmy's desired landing spot if LA is on the table. That being said, I don't think LA is on the table because Matt Stafford, his entire career, and anyone in Detroit will tell you, he's always had minor injuries of some kind, and he's always played through it, and he's always played pretty well through it. So until I actually see the name Dr. James Andrews, I'm not worried about Matt Stafford and his ability on the field. as a 49ers fan, I'm worried because he's the quarterback on the Rams, and that's a whole other thing. But,
I agree.
I'm not
with
worried
Vince.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Vince. Like Matt Stafford is nails. I mean, that dude he's been tough as nails even when he was in college with Georgia. He had injuries.
Wasn't he playing with a broken back a couple years ago in Detroit?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that dude is. I mean, I don't like that he's on the Rams because I don't like the Rams, but I have 110% respect for him at the quarterback position. I mean, what was the talk about him in Detroit is his career is being wasted, and he got a Super Bowl and now he's considered a really good quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback, because he finally got that chip. And now Matt Ryan is trying to do that
in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. That's not happening.
Well, Matt Ryan has an MVP already. And I mean, you've got I think they're like a top offensive line compared to what he was playing behind in Atlanta last year.
Iceman, Matty Ice, that's not happening. It's not happening.
I mean, I'm not saying Matty Ice is winning the MVP this year or nothing, but I could see him having a much better year than he did last year. And last year he was not terrible. He wasn't the reason the Falcons were they 5-12?
I mean, that whole roster just kind of bottomed out, and the franchise, I think, just hit a wall. I mean, they're going to be really terrible this year, probably.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Probably a 4-win team.
Does it? I gave him 6. So does it bother you that Jimmy G is probably going to be released on August 30th around 1 p.m. and that you didn't get anything for him?
You know what? It does a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, right now the Browns may still need a quarterback because the Deshaun Watson situation is going to get a lot worse because the NFL has officially appealed that decision, and so Roger Goodell is appointing somebody to look at
it.
Isn't
it crazy how we're cheering for Roger Goodell right now?
Yeah,
we're applauding the NFL right now for doing the right fucking thing. Isn't that crazy?
Gross. It feels gross that I'm cheering for Roger Goodell to, like he did. This is the right move that they should have done. When that judge said 6 games, like I was like, please, Roger Goodell,
I did hear
do the thing, and he did the thing.
I did hear something about this. Shoot, I'm blanking on the woman's name who was the judge in this thing.
Sue Robinson, I think.
Sue Robinson. She gave him the 6 games, but she also in her report outlined a roadmap for the NFL to use to basically suspend him indefinitely.
Who does she think she is? Robert Mueller? Like,
well, there's been reporters saying that like she gave him the 6 games, and there's a lot of controversy of like what she's saying, but essentially she delivered what the NFL wanted her to deliver, is that they have the option to suspend him indefinitely. And then Roger Goodell had the option to be the jury, but he gave it to another judge. I'm
okay with that though. And the only reason is because Roger does not have a good track record of being the judge. I'm okay with it.
Well, I think he's doing that because he can wash his hands of it,
that too.
He can wash his hands of it. And in the past, Roger Goodell, he was suspended Ray Rice 2 games, and look at the backlash he got for that. And, the NFL Players Association is talking about they're going to sue the NFL and this and that. And it's like, you're going to lose. You could take this to court. You're going to lose because this is a collective bargained agreement that you have. So this is all fair game. The courts are not going to want to. The courts are not going to want to entertain this. You have collectively agreed to this system. You were upset in the old system that Roger Goodell was judge, jury, and executioner. So you allowed him to put it to a third party, And then he has the option, if he doesn't agree with the suspension or the discipline, he can step in and, what we're seeing here with Watson, you can't be mad at that. You agreed to this, Yeah. So again, it's crazy that we're over here giving Roger Goodell and the NFL a standing ovation for taking a stand against this BS. He shouldn't be in the league. And it's Cleveland's dumbass fault for giving him this contract 100% guaranteed.
And backloading it too, backloading all that money. So
purposely,
that way,
they purposely did it this way so that if he got suspended this season, he loses a couple million, but all the money starts the second year that he's in Cleveland, so get rid of this guy, get rid of him.
Yeah, I agree. But I do believe Jimmy will be a Brown before a Ram. But if he doesn't get suspended, he will be a Seahawk. And you will see him, 2, 3 times, 4 times a year?
It's two. It's two.
Two. That's right. You'll see him
one
2.
Home,
I'm thinking basketball. Sorry. Yeah. You will see him 2 times.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take Jimmy to learn the playbook or whatever. I would imagine that they just throw him in and start him right away. If wherever he goes, because they need Seattle, especially that team's quarterback situation with another podcast calls him Mr. Irresponsible Drew Lock. So
if I'm Jimmy, I want to go to Seattle because, I mean, obviously if Matt Stafford's hurt and I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I could choose where I go. I want to go to the Rams because I could probably beat you. I could beat the 49ers twice with that defense. I don't think he's going to go to the Rams because I think Matt Stafford's just going to play through it, and we may not see him at all during the preseason. So I think we may not see Matt Stafford until, the first game of the season, and he's going to tough it out. So I think if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I get cut and I get to choose, I'm going to Seattle.
Yeah.
Because I know the language, I know the terminology, and Kyle Shanahan is not going to change his verbiage because of this one individual. So
right.
I think Jimmy might have a shot to be at Seattle, and I don't think Seattle's I don't think Seattle's anywhere near being a contender, but they could be spoiler, I mean, even if you split, you just ruined it. You've ruined their season.
It's a 17-game season. That is not a lot of games. You can, if you make a mistake, that's the difference between winning the division and being the wild card team having to go play on the road.
The NFC West is going to be tough. Like
super tough.
The Rams are the defending champs, and like no matter what, they're the champs. They're defending champs. They didn't really lose anything on their roster.
Yeah, they lost Odell Beckham in that injury in the Super Bowl, but then they replaced him with Allen Robinson, who I suspect was dogging it in Chicago because he wanted out.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you got Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, who he carried his way out of that little contract deal that he got, that he had to watch 4 hours of videotape per week.
Oh, Kyler's
ridiculous. And then what's their coach?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah. So I love what he did this past week. He basically gave Kyler the full reign, said, all right, you want to be the head coach and you want to be the quarterback, go for it. And Kyler, fumbled the whole thing and wasn't great. And he's talking over everyone. And, Cliff came out and said, it's fucking hard to be a head coach. He goes, it's hard to do play calls. So that's why he gave it to him. And he said that, I'll tell you right now, if Kyler was my quarterback, I wouldn't want to play. Oh, no. If Kyler was my head coach, I wouldn't want to play for him.
Man,
dysfunctional, maybe.
Tough love, man. That's the nice way of spending that. All right.
Hey, new acquisitions, though, I do want to point out, people coming to the new homes. Juan Soto has not impressed me, but he's just been kind of run-of-the-mill guy. But man, San Diego like even though they lost and they got swept by the Dodgers this past series, it felt good, like just to see that atmosphere of a hot name coming into a team, and like every game feels like a playoff atmosphere. Every single game. I mean, even DeGrom pitched for like the first time this year, and that felt like a playoff atmosphere.
His second start, he almost threw a perfect game.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it.
I do want to touch base on the San Diego thing. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because the San Diego Padres, pretty much for our lifetime, I know they've had some seasons where they got to the World Series and they've had some competitive teams, but they've never been a destination. They've never been an it factor or it club. And they have an owner who ranks in like the bottom half, bottom third of wealth, of personal wealth. But this guy is so committed to winning. And I heard an interview last week, I want to say, where they were the reporter was kind of talking about the owner of the San Diego Padres, and his lineage is actually part of the family that brought the Dodgers to LA. He's not really like affiliated with that family right now. Like he's kind of like a descendant, but he is committed to winning and he wants to go all in every single season. And the biggest takeaway I got from this interview was that the San Diego community was so heartbroken when the Chargers left, but they had the Padres, and the Padres, being that they're all in, the talk of the town is just all Padres. It has become a baseball town almost overnight. And that's the opportunity that the A's have. You're the only fucking game in town. You're a fucking billionaire. Like, dude, just do it.
Yeah,
we
right
would
now,
embrace you.
Yeah. Right now, the Padres are in the playoffs. They hold the last wild card spot. They've lost 4 in a row, but they hold a 1.5 game lead over the Brewers for that final wild card spot.
I love how Vince called it. As soon as you said Padres ownership is bottom of the payroll, Vince said, Here we go.
You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I knew it.
Okay. Well, is this a California problem? I mean, like,
no, it's a singular man problem.
Okay.
One guy.
John fucking Fisher. That's his name.
Well, because Oakland only has the Oakland A's now.
Tim, you got an hour? You got an hour?
You ready?
Let me give you the short version in 60 minutes. Let me catch my breath. Here we go. All right. I'm gonna buckle in. All right. No, for real. John Fisher's cheap, dude. I mean, he's a billionaire. John Fisher owns Gap. John Fisher owns Old Navy. John Fisher owns Banana Republic. This guy inherited billions of dollars from his family and makes zero investment. And the Oakland A's, Tim, you don't know. There may be some people listening who don't know. MLB used to have this thing called revenue sharing. And for a number of years, the Oakland A's accepted those checks. And what is revenue sharing? It's welfare. It only went to the teams who didn't make money from TV deals and, jersey sales and things of that nature. So teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox, who made a lot of money, would have to give a portion of their money into a pool. And that pool was divided up into teams. And the A's were constantly on this revenue sharing program. Then the program went away and now it's back. So the A's are accepting welfare. Something that John Fisher has publicly, as a politician, has supported politicians who are against welfare for civilians, for people like you and me. He's against handouts. He's a major Republican donator. He doesn't pay his rent for Old Navy, Gap, Banana Republic. He's in litigation because during the pandemic, he doesn't want to pay anything, but the stores are open. So this guy is just the epitome of what's wrong with wealth in this country. He has the ability to keep star players. He has the ability to keep players that fans are attached to. He chooses to run this team like a thrift store. He chooses to run this team the way it is. And over the course of the seasons, fans have turned their back on this because, if you get attached to a person, to a player, they're going to be gone. That's why when you go to a game, you don't see, of course, there's fans wearing jerseys, but then there's 80% of fans are wearing jerseys with no name on it because the player is going to be traded.
I'm one of those.
That's so sad.
Am I.
That is
so
when
you hear about attendance problems, they're averaging, I think it's 8,500 a game, but that average is tickets sold, not the average of butts in the seats.
Right.
So that's tickets sold. That could be online season tickets, and those people don't show up. I went to one game this year. I think they had an announced attendance of maybe 14, 15,000. There was nobody there. There was there was nobody there. I could walk to grab a beer. Nobody ahead of me. I was first in line every single time. I would say there was probably about 4,000 people there when I went. But it's not because Oakland fans and East Bay fans don't want to support baseball. It's not that they don't want to be there. It's how many times do you have your heart broken? How many times are you going to support something when you're not going to be supported, where you're just going to continuously throw your money at something and not get the benefit?
Yeah. Tim, my family was a season ticket holder family for years, almost 2 decades. And this year we did not buy back in because we're tired of being gaslit. They jack up the prices on season ticket holders. They get rid of a lot of the special perks that we used to have. And we knew that the team was going to be dog shit as well. So, I mean, at this point, it's like, I'm done spending money on something that's not going to bring me any joy. So yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. And that's why, I've been more willing to be a Giants fan than I've been willing to be an A's fan. Cause I hear you guys talk about all the trades that happen, or there was a great player and now they're gone. And I'm like, well, what's the point? Honestly, what is the point of being a fan? And, my sister-in-law is a diehard A's fan, and she still is, she still is a fan, but I'm just like, all right, I don't get it. I don't, I want to be an A's fan.
I really think we need to, not us as a podcast, but fan bases really need to discuss what it means to be a diehard, because there's diehard A's fans that still go, the 5,000, 8,000 that are still going. Yeah, they're diehards, but to be a fan doesn't mean you accept the trauma that we're going through. I have said this numerous times. I say this all the time to people. Name a Hall of Famer that the A's have produced since Billy Beane's reign. When did he start, Vince? 96, 95?
97.
Name a Hall of Famer since he's taken over. I mean, how many years has he been here? Not one player has he drafted or signed as a free agent is a Hall of Famer. I mean, the closest thing, in my personal opinion, would be maybe a Tim Hudson, a Miguel Tejada, a Jason Giambi. And Giambi wasn't even drafted by Billy Beane. He was already in the system. He traded Mark McGwire to promote Giambi from AAA. Giambi was a left fielder.
Yeah, he was playing spot starts in left field while Mark McGwire was on the team.
So Miguel Tejada, but you look at Miguel Tejada's numbers, it's not MLB Hall of Fame. It's maybe Oakland A's Hall of Fame. I just saw Eric Chavez looks like he's going to the A's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they just had that ceremony this past weekend. Yeah.
So it's just disappointing. Billy Beane is a part owner, and I think Billy Beane, under the Hoffman and Schott years, I really respect him for what he did there, because Hoffman and Schott had no money. They were not wealthy people. They should have never owned the team. When they bought the team from the Haas family, they never should have owned it. These people are the brokest ownership group in MLB history in relative terms. They should never have owned that team. So I respect what he did under that ownership. However, right now with John Fisher and with Billy being part owner, he hasn't produced anything. When you look at the career of Billy Beane, it's one ALCS and you got your asses handed to you. And I don't want to hear it's a crapshoot. I don't want to hear, well, you never know. I don't want to hear it. You've gone to one. I would listen to the crapshoot talk if you went to 4 or 5 or 6 ALCSs and you went 0 for 6. You went to one. And you got your asses handed to you.
Yeah, I mean, they've made the playoffs since the year 2000. I think it's like, 10 or 12 times. And when you don't even advance past the first round of the playoffs.
The Florida Marlins have how many World Series since they started?
2, 97
the Tampa
and
Bay
2003.
Rays have gone to a World Series with half of your crappy budget. You know what I mean? So it's just, he's a terrible owner, and they're milking the MLB. It's an ATM. And I've said this before, if this was any other franchise, MLB would have gotten involved. This happened with the Dodgers, and MLB made Frank McCourt sell the team. And the next ownership group, what did they do? They hired the GM. They changed the front office. And now look at that team. That is the most stacked AAA, AA, single A system in MLB.
Oh, and not only that, they are leading the National League. They're at 75-33 right now. They have a 5-game lead, 5.5-game lead on the Mets.
As soon as that ownership group took over, they said, we're 100% in.
Yeah. Their
attendance went up.
Yeah. They're 5 games clear of the Yankees too. So they're the best in baseball, period.
And you know what? They're going to make money. They're going to make more money spending all that money on Mookie Betts, spending all that money on, all of the free agents that they acquire. And a lot of the guys they brought them up in their own system. It's not like it's a team of all free agency. They're going to make more money because they're all in all the time. San Diego is going to make a bunch of money because they're all in.
So right. Can we invoke the major league rule? Every time you win a game, we take off a piece of clothing.
On John Fisher?
Oh God.
You guys,
or maybe it's the reverse.
It'll be his face.
Win a game, we put a piece on.
It'll be this is what John Fisher looks like,
Yeah.
Like if I know what he looks like, but at the same time, if he was walking down the street, I wouldn't know it was him.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen 2 pictures of him in my life. And one of them is he's in the jacket and he's kind of laughing and he's sitting in the chair in the stands. Like there's that one picture with the camo hat. And that's, and then I think there was one where he was like talking to people, and that's it. Like I barely know what the guy looks like. And he's been owner of the team or co-owner in some form since 2005, I think. Yeah,
because he was part of the ownership group with Lou Wolf.
Yeah.
Lou Wolf was John Fisher owned a majority, but Lou Wolf was the spokesman. He was the day-to-day operations owner, like Joe Lacob for the Warriors. He doesn't own 80% of the team. He owns a fraction of the team. He's just the guy that represents the day-to-day operations. He's the one that works on it every single day.
Yeah, the face of ownership.
He's not the majority owner. He's part of a group that owns the Warriors, and he just represents their interests. So when payroll needs to go up and this and that, Lacob needs to speak to the board and get their approval. It just so happens that, they win, and they had Steph Curry. They bought the team and they had Steph Curry.
I just want to point out too that the odds have gone up. I mean, the Dodgers are still favored. The Mets are still favored. The Astros are still favored. But the odds have gone up for the Padres now since making their trade acquisition from 2,200 to 1,100 to win the World Series.
Okay, is there 11-1?
Yep. And then I'm going to save the AL last, but the NL winners is the Padres have gone from 1,000 to 500. So the biggest one to me, and the one that doesn't make sense to me, and I tried looking at what they traded for, and I don't understand it, but I mean, it's not a huge odd, but the AL winner odds for the Mariners have gone from 1,800 to 1,400, which I'm a little impressed by that.
Who was that?
The Mariners. I mean, they're in the playoffs right now. They're the last team. They're the last wild card team in. And wouldn't you know it, there's actually 4 teams that are 5 games or closer to them. The Guardians are 2 back. The White Sox are 3 back. The Red Sox are 5 back. And the Baltimore fucking Orioles, out of nowhere, they're only 2 games out of a playoff spot. That's something that nobody, including Baltimore fans, thought was possible. So this is interesting. And especially after they traded away Trey Mancini as well.
It'll be interesting to see how the odds go down the end here. I do have some stuff that I want to talk about, like golf related, but I'm going to tease that for next week. So I have some issues with Live Golf, and it's more than just the Saudi Arabians running a golf tournament or a golf league. So, but I'll save that for next week.
Ooh, our teaser. We got another one.
I'll be at this.
That's 3 teasers in the last 4 weeks. Ooh, this is fun.
Wow.
I like it. We just didn't do it last week, but yeah, this is fun, guys. All right.
So this means that like we're developing a bit instead of like breaking news. We got to have like a dick tease.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a little gentle tickle. Here we go.
This is I'll save my tip for next week
for you listeners.
I'll save my tip for next week.
Yeah, saving the tip. There we go.
No,
okay.
No.
We made it.
But yeah,
Tim goes, why did I join this? Last week was ejaculate. This week is tips. I don't know why I joined this.
God,
when
man.
Tim edits the YouTube channel feed, he's gonna have to edit a little dick tease image. So
yeah,
tips.
You guys realize that I'm gonna have to put particular images in the YouTube.
No,
thing
just
that
blur
I
out
don't
the
want
tip.
to do.
Blur out the tip, but just leave the shaft, okay?
All right, moving
like Japanese style.
All right, is there anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
I already said my tip for next week.
You said your tip? Okay, so let's wrap this bad boy up. You can visit us.
Let's wrap this dick tease up.
All right, you can visit us on social media, SVT Sports Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Questions and comments, send us an email, svtsportspod@gmail.com. Slide into our DMs.
# Magnum condoms.
Please sponsor us.
Yeah.
I could definitely fit them.
Oh, geez.
You guys have a good night. I will catch you guys next week.
Until next time.
Until next time. Later.